Welcome to Resilient Science, a show where we spend time each week trying to better understand a topic around hockey, rehab, and the science behind it. My name is Dr. Ben Cernick. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a goalie coach. I'm a strength coach. And I'm a graduate student that looks at why we should draft goalies and how to make them better. And now, as always, I'm here with Jamie Phillips.
Hello, I'm Jamie Phillips. I am a goalie coach, physical therapy student, strength coach, and that's weird that is like your that is how you describe your master's. It's pretty cool. It's better than like, my master's is in biology. It's no, mine's in OHL draft research.
Mine is actually this week I did WHL data. And if anyone could explain to me why no one drafted Martin Jones, I would love to hear it. Someone who was like a diehard like Red Deer fan in the mid to late 2000s. If you can reach out to me personally and let me know why Martin Jones didn't get drafted, I'd appreciate you. Because Jamie,
It's because choosing which 15-year-old is going to have potential is incredibly difficult.
no, Martin Jones was drafted as a 15-year-old. Why he wasn't drafted in the NHL?
Oh,
Quick, before we get started today, my statistic rant of the day. So NHL teams seem to select CHL goalies like pretty much largely influenced just by basic statistics, games played, save percentage. If you just use that as a basic formula, you figure out who gets drafted. It's not that complicated. Now, here's the thing with Martin Jones. He plays 27 games in his first draft year. So his draft year, 27 games, goes 18-8, has like a 915 save percentage on like a 2.1 goals against average. Also, keep in mind that his team had a single player over a point per game. So it's not like his team was blowing teams out. Goes undrafted. And you're like, okay, I mean, 27 games, maybe you didn't reach that threshold of like enough games that people could get tape on. But keep in mind, Martin Jones played in 27 games and started 27 games. He did not come in a single time. He started 27 games. So like it wasn't like he was getting mop-up minutes and ended up with 27. Anyways, doesn't matter. Next year, Martin Jones's draft plus 1 year. Martin Jones plays 55 games and puts up the exact same stat line, like 3 points better in save percentage, like a 917 draft year on draft save percentage on 55 game played. He's 6'4". I don't know. Why did no one draft Martin Jones?
yeah, okay, that's kind of that's weird.
Jamie Martin Jones finished his WHL career with 108 wins and 20 losses.
He was a world junior goalie, and he was never.
Just
That
no
is
one picked him
wild.
up. Like literally no one drafted him. I don't know. Makes no
I
sense
don't
to me.
know. Makes no sense. Oh, before we get into our grab bag of topics, I was talking to a goalie today, or not today, this week about the by remote trading and stuff, and a shameless plug, but he it was on with him and his dad, and they had said that they listen to the pod all the time and they listen to it on the way to hockey. And I just want to say to everyone that listens, like, thank you, because when I look back, some of the most like important memories that I have in my life are the time that I spent with my dad in my car going to games and practices. So the fact that Ben and I can are a part of that, it does mean a lot to us. So thank you. Very feeling very sentimental. It was
Yeah,
Blake's senior
wow,
night
that was
last
really
night.
nice. That was
It
really
was Blake's
nice.
senior night last night, and I teared up, and so I'm feeling really sentimental. But it actually is really. We thank everyone for listening because it does mean a lot, and to be a part of that hockey journey, because there's more important things in life than hockey. Might not seem like it now, but there are. And so to be a part of that, thank you.
Yeah, like more important things like why didn't Martin Jones get drafted? Anyways, moving on.
Just
Um,
why? Somebody tell me
if
why.
someone could explain to me, please. I'm losing sleep over this. Someone help my family. Okay. Yeah, so we're doing a bit of a grab bag today, a few topics that people reached out and asked us about. And so we're going to kind of go through them a little bit, not too deeply, but enough that we can kind of get an idea of what we think or, just kind of explaining what went on. So first and foremost, Jamie, injuries are always a hot topic. People want to reach out asking about injuries,
Mhm.
which makes sense given what we do. But a couple NHL injuries that were announced this week. The first being Matt Murray being placed on injury reserve with an ankle injury. Jamie, any thoughts on ankle injuries in goaltending?
Yeah, don't get them. They are they are not fun. Both Ben and I have had high ankle sprains, and it the injury itself is very frustrating because, like, after maybe a couple of weeks of rehab, you're basically okay to do all like off ice training activity with mine. Like I was squatting, I was sled pushing. The only thing I couldn't really do was like heavy plyos, and um, it was fine. But as soon as you went to do a butterfly, that rotation of the ankle
Oh,
caused just the most excruciating pain, and it went on for 8 weeks. And even after the 8 weeks, I had about another 8 weeks where I was playing through like a 2 to 3 out of 10 pain until it
yep.
finally went away. So ankle injuries are not fun. They are more, and I don't know if they're more and more common, but anecdotally, I've seen them a lot more in even a few of the goalies that I coach. Um, I don't know why. I mean, everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's the RVH," and it could be, but I don't know if that's actually the reason.
Yeah, again, and we're not here to speculate on that. There's just too many variables that can go into that. Like, I think things that we've seen obviously is goalies have to skate much more dynamically now than ever before. Combine that with a higher attack angle on skates. And I think we get a little bit of math, a little bit of just more opportunities for stuff to get, like your skate to get caught, ankle to go
Yeah,
over. And again, we don't really know the full details of Matt Murray's injury. As always, NHL teams like to keep it pretty quiet. And so the exact details of it, all we know is that he's been dealing with it for a couple of weeks now, and they made the call that it wasn't getting as much better as they thought it was. So the specifics on that, not really sure, but ankle injuries and goaltending are fairly common and super frustrating because of how much rotation you need out of that ankle, out of the movement of that ankle when you're actually in a butterfly. I think that's something
so
that I
so
definitely
much.
didn't appreciate when I was playing. But like when you get hurt and you realize just how much goes into each butterfly and how much you take for granted that happens when you butterfly is pretty interesting.
And then with that too is it almost always is a high ankle sprain because of how locked in your low ankle is locked in
Yeah,
to the
there's nowhere to
boot,
go. Yeah,
and there is nowhere to go. And even like, we were talking about the mechanism of injury. I just caught an edge and rolled over my ankle.
see you
The
later.
RVH, the RVH had nothing to do with it. I just caught
Yeah,
an edge, and I was like, I think I broke my ankle. It was a
yeah.
training camp, and I went to the coach in the scrimmage. And I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I broke my ankle, and then I almost puked because of the pain.
Yeah, and then for whatever it's worth, mine is I was telling Jamie before, my foot got caught kind of under the post. I got wedged in, and then someone just ran me over. My foot was stuck, so there was nowhere for my foot to go. So it just rolled. Anyways, that's Matt Murray. Second injury this week. I think a bunch of people who are watching hockey closely and who are watching fun goalie stories this year would have heard that Logan Thompson is out week to week with what they're calling a lower body injury. I think if you watch the play, Jamie and I both watched the clip a bunch of times. It looks pretty classic, like a change of direction, stretching groin type situation.
Yeah,
So,
non-contact.
unsurprisingly, yeah, no contact, nothing strange. These are one of the more frustrating injuries as a goalie, where like that play he's probably done a million times before, that exact set of movements combined. He's probably done so many times before, and just this time, coming off the All-Star break, whether that is a big influence or whether this is just purely a random bad piece of luck. Um,
Mhm.
Not fun for Logan Thompson. He's been having a pretty fun story this year. So,
Yeah,
and Vegas is kind of in that weird position playoff wise. So,
but let's offer some advice. So if you get injured, honestly, go everyone go and see like a PT, or I guess Ben would say a Cairo, but
I mean, I
probably
go see someone who knows what they're talking about, whether
yeah.
it's a PT or a Cairo. So if you're someone, I don't, if you're a parent listening and your child gets hurt, if you're a teenager or a junior guy and you get hurt, like do a little bit of research before you go see someone is our
And go
biggest
see
piece of
someone
advice.
who deals with athletes,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of very good clinicians out there. Um, if they, but the way that we are taught, if you are not really into sports, your recommendations will often be like stop doing your sport, and sometimes that's the
Yeah.
right case. A lot of times it's not.
Yep.
Go see a sports healthcare professional. Just be
Mhm.
taken care of, because worst case, so like I guess best case it's nothing and you just take some time off, or you just lower your training volume or whatever. Worst case it's something really serious, and you can get that nipped in the butt right away, and so you don't have a really long lingering pain and
Did you
injury.
did you say nipped in the butt?
Nipped in the butt.
It's bud.
Is it
BUD.
bud?
Bud, like when you prune the tree.
I had no idea. I've only ever heard it nipped in the butt, like
Nope,
you
nipped in
like
the bud.
Oh,
Mhm.
what? You
Yeah,
just blew my mind.
you're welcome for that one.
Ooh.
But yeah, I want to just echo what Jamie said again. Yep. Jamie and I again, Jamie's in physical therapy school. I am a chiropractor. I don't really care for titles. I like to
I do.
care for people who know what they're talking about. So go find someone who knows what they're talking about. Do your own research. Don't, I hate that one. Don't say do your own research, but look things up.
I know that term has been do your own research in terms of finding someone else who's way smarter than you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, this is not like do your own research. This is not a mass smear campaign. This is this is
Oh God, yeah,
if you're in a big like urban center, there's definitely someone who can help you within like 25 minutes. If you're in a
even if
more
you're not, there's still probably a healthcare professional, or you can reach out. You can. What are we talking about? You
reach
can
out to us.
reach out to us. Reach out and talk to Ben or John.
Yeah, myself and our colleague John Snyder, who's an excellent physical therapist. We're here to help online as well. Anyways,
What?
hopefully
Yeah,
Logan comes.
we should probably
Holy cow.
promote what we do more.
Oh God, we suck.
All right, injuries. Move on. Next topic.
Moving on. All right, so we finished up with there. Our next topic, Jamie, incredible timing. I had a couple lessons this week with goalies where I was trying to explain exactly what you explained yesterday in one of your posts, which is the concept of the golden triangle, aka when it is acceptable to enter, or when it's a safer position to enter an RVH, or when it's the appropriate position to enter an RVH. And when it, like, why most RVH goals aren't because of the RVH, it's the misappropriation or misuse of the RVH. Jamie, without further ado, go ahead.
Came up with the golden triangle. That's what I call it. I actually do hope it catches on. That way I leave some sort of legacy in this whole thing. Kind of like the Turco break in pads. Did Marty Turco have anything to, like, he just had it? But yeah, so it's essentially the rule of thumb where if you make a line from the bottom of the circle to the goal line and create a triangle from that, I don't know.
The center, it's the dot of the circle too, like dot of the circle.
No, I go bottom of the circle.
No. I know, but
Oh,
like
yeah. So the bottom middle of the circle, and then
yes.
to the net, it creates a little bit of a triangle. If you want to know what that looks like, just go to my Instagram. The thumbnail says it. And so essentially, you like Ben is right. And we've talked about this many times. I've talked about this on Instagram. The RVH isn't the issue. The RVH is a really good save selection. It's misuse of the save selection, whether that's using it the wrong time, using it when it really shouldn't be applicable. It's just like, it's just like the butterfly. The butterfly is a great save when the puck's shot at you on the ice. If it's shot outside your body, you have to extend. So the butterfly isn't what you want. And so that's where people like kind of like go crazy because everyone uses it. And this, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here, but essentially, you have to, in terms of choosing why you're going to use a save, you have to look at what is the purpose. So the purpose of the RVH, no matter what anyone says, is to seal the short side. Just like the VH is to seal the short side, and the overlap is to seal the short side and the far side because those are both available. Okay. So now that we know the short side is the only part is with the purpose, when is the short side of the net either the only part or the vast majority of the open net? And it's kind of in this golden triangle. Like, who would have thought?
That was my answer.
Yeah, so it's in this golden triangle range. Yes, if you back it up, it is still the short side is the only part of the net, like you go closer to the boards along the goal line, but you don't need to be down because if you're on your feet, that shot isn't like a threat and it gives you options. One of the options is entering into the RVH. So I use this triangle as a method of simplifying the why to my goalies so that when they go and do it, they have a proper baseline of understanding and then they can expand upon it from there. And so you look at, a lot of the goals, shots are coming from like the dot and people are in the RVH. There is so much far side net available that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And also, so I had a goalie coach I really respect had commented on that post, or he said it was weird. He's like, I agree with everything except all these things. And he said he says the RVH is a good tool because it allows you to have better vision behind the net, which I definitely don't agree with because you can have good vision behind the net whether you're on your feet or on your knees. And so whatever you choose does matter, but I guess it would be more of a comfort thing. I prefer feet. I just prefer feet because it gives you more chance to move. And he also said it allows goalies to simplify their decision making, which it
Is true,
does
but
in the wrong way.
yes, yeah,
Because
there it is.
essentially it simplifies your decision making because you've eliminated possible which directions that you can move. And so, yes, it is now harder for you to move on a backdoor pass. And so, yes, your decision making is simple, but it's not for me, it's not optimal in terms of movement. So I would say I definitely, and he also said it's not purely a block. And I say I agree that it's not purely a block, but the purpose of it is technically a block, and it's very
It's
hard.
mostly a
It's
block.
hard to react out of an RVH and not expose any openings, especially when that shot is from further out. In tight, you can smother your hands and eliminate almost everything. But
Mhm.
as soon as that puck gets a little bit more upward angle, it is very difficult.
Yeah, I find this really funny because when did you make this post? Was this a yesterday? Was this a Friday
Mhm.
post? So I had,
Yesterday.
oh, it was yesterday. Okay. So like it's funny because I had this Thursday and Friday where this exact words basically were left my mouth to a bunch of goalies we were working with, because I was working on a net drive drill. And I was like, what is the point of an RVH? Why are we using an RVH in this situation? And it's interesting to see the perspective of kind of like, kids and their adopted, how they're adopting it, how they viewed it or how they've
Mhm.
learned it. So maybe it's also on me too. So hand up there. But a lot of them are like, oh, like better position for the back door. I can block the pass. I can do this. And I'm like, none of those are uniquely positioned for an
No,
RVH,
that's the
right?
same thing. I had that post a long time ago. I said, "What is the purpose of the RVH?" And I asked because I was curious because I knew it was going to be a lot of nonsense. Some people got it right, and some people just like he asked for a wraparound, which yes, it is, but also it's not like it, it is because you're shielding the short side on a wraparound.
Yeah. It's a short side position that gives you playable far side
Mhm.
options. And that's the way I always describe it is it's a good short side lockdown with a good seal that puts you in an okay position to make other saves.
Mhm.
And as long as you understand that that priority is that short side, I think,
Yeah.
and using it properly, right? Like nothing like again, like you said, every time we see an RVH goal that goes in, there's two major flaws that happen. One, the puck's just like way too far away, and so there's an angle to for the puck to go in, whether
Mhm.
that's short side or whether that is far side, right? Like whatever way it is,
Yeah.
like it's not the right save selection. The other one is like again these very weirdly low RVHs where people are like down and in when the puck again is far away, and it's like okay, there's just a lot of net there.
So I
Um,
worked with as one of Bougie's goalies over. He plays junior B, doing really well in junior B, and I worked with him over Christmas break. And he wanted to do our VH stuff, and he got really low, but he was getting beat short side because our Mario was able to pull him off his post and go upstairs. And so I said, like again, like the whole thing was this purpose of the short side, or purpose of the RVH, still short side, etc., etc. But he said he felt like he got a better push across when he basically recoiled like a spring. And I said, I understand where you're coming from. And yes, there is a pass option here. But I said, but for me, it was like, you have to decide. You have to decide, would you rather get beat on the backdoor pass or would you rather get beat on the short side of the post? And he's like, well, the backdoor pass, because like, I want to be able to make both. And I said, yes. So we need to be able to teach you to adjust your body so you are more upright and be able to push across. So it could be a strength thing, positioning thing. Or if you're going to be that recoiled, you have to then understand that that short side up is going to high is going to be available. So you're going to have to turn this into a smothering position with your hands.
yep, agreed. Yeah, and I think that's again, this is the nuances of again, like when you're getting into higher level play where shooters are better, smarter, faster, and you need to make decisions as a goalie. There is trade offs. We've talked about probabilities and odds and how your action as a goalie directly impacts the decision maker like making of players. And so knowing that every time you make a choice as a goalie, you are influencing the play. And you have to know just like the repercussions and the results of that come from it. But anyone has any more questions, go check out Jamie's post on Instagram. I think it's actually incredible. I think it does a great job explaining some fundamentals that if you're teaching the RVH or using the RVH and you're not thinking about it this way, I really do encourage everyone to go look at it. I think Jamie, I think you did a great job with it. So
Thank you. And it's also the way that I explained this on my live stream yesterday. This is the way I think about everything. Okay, what is you have to understand the why.
Yep.
And then from there you build upon that. Just like when you, for us, if you're in the clinic, patient comes in with back pain. Oh, what do you want
Why?
me to do with that? Yeah. So why?
Why?
Okay. So like, what are you
Um,
doing day to day? Like what, you gotta give me more. You gotta give me more than my back hurts.
well, it's from carrying this podcast, Jamie. That's why mine hurts. All right, moving on. Um, last topic that we thought we were going to cover today. This is something where Jamie and I historically agree on lots of things, but I think we have a slight difference of opinion here. So I'm curious to see where this one goes. But we get lots of questions about angles. And angles as a goaltender seems like something's intuitive, but I'm going to just define this quickly so that we can make sure everyone's on the same page. So being on your angle or being in the correct angle as a goalie refers to your body being in between the puck and the middle of the net. Any other definition of that, I think is just wrong. I mean, there's the whole like
People will
will
confuse angle and
misunderstand
square.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and this goes with it. So being square, this is a component, it's not a component, it's a different part. But being square to a puck implies that all parts of your body are directly facing it. So I always say shoulders, hips, knees, toes, hands are all
Yeah.
facing the puck. That is being square. And then being on your angle is being between the puck and the middle of the net. Those are two of the three components of positioning, the other being in depth. So once you have those three things, you're in position. So position can be broken down into those three things. But people have a hard time with angles. And I think people have a hard time with angles due to them moving. I think that's where like, oh, I was off my angle is always, not always, but most often a product of like a pass came across the middle or a pass came from low to high. And the goalie has missed their angle. And so Jamie,
Mhm.
what were you saying earlier about angles being only feel? It's a feel thing.
We definitely agree. I think it is a large part feel, and it is very difficult to teach a goalie angles. That's why when people like when goalies will message me and say like how do I fix my ankles? I can't give them anything to say. And so I believe to teach angles, you definitely need to have a goalie coach there or someone to correct you. And then from there, it comes down, it's similar to pattern mapping where you essentially recognize where you are in relation to your surroundings. And you have to be able to feel that relation, or your brain does the calculation for you and unconsciously.
Yeah, okay. When you say it like that, I don't disagree. So maybe my guns blazing there on you
Yeah,
was
you
was
came out of
was
the gates hot
yeah,
pre-pod.
yeah, and I don't actually disagree. I guess like the one thing I think, so I do think you need someone there to help correct you. I think this is something that is really, really hard to just do on your own, with especially without like any like feedback. So I guess if you are on your own, I would recommend camera feedback, like video feedback.
True.
Set up a
Yeah.
camera that you're trying to get square or get on your angle to. I see, I almost mixed it up myself. Um, Set up a camera and work from all different positions coming to trying to be on the angle to that camera. And you'll be able to pick up some things that you're doing incorrectly. So one of the big things that I see that leads to goalies being off their angles is how they're actually moving through the crease to get to that position. And so one of the big ones being when a puck crosses the midline of the ice. So let's say it goes from top of the circle to other top of the circle. I think goalies miss their angle a lot for two reasons in this play. The first one being one, not identifying what hand the shooter is on the other side.
Yep.
So incorrectly identifying if it's a right or left-handed shot as they come across. The second being not cutting through their crease and taking like a really flat line across the top of the crease, which because when you're going, and again, this is an audio podcast, so I'm aware that I'm making hand signals that you can't see. But when you're facing the top of the circle to the other side, like your inside foot is higher than your other because the net is or the crease is a semicircle, right? So if you just take a really flat line, straight line right through the crease on this, it's really hard to get your body up and through and get your feet evened.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be leading to you being off your angle and not being square. So again, not identifying where that puck is going and not cutting through the crease, I find are the two big things. Jamie, do you see anything else that kind of contributes on that type of play?
No, I think you hit it there. Other than just being late with the chest, we talk about snapping the chest, leading with the chest, not the head, and
Yep.
typically that's the thing. But you're right, chasing the middle, not knowing with the hand, and it's just simple things. And it's okay. It's okay that if you struggle because it's something to work on. There's nothing wrong with having things that you struggle on because we need to continue to train them. And so, yeah, so maybe you came out of the gates way too hot. Because I definitely think you can teach it, but you're teaching the goalie to feel and understand. You can't like it's a very difficult concept because it's trying to teach someone how to understand where they are in space. And that's a
Yep.
weird thing to describe and it's a weird
Yep.
thing to teach. But again, that's why like Ben said, video feedback is good, but the problem is like if you are like you skate for 30 minutes and then you go off the ice and you watch your video back, maybe you don't skate for like 4 days. And so it
Oh
helps, but
yeah.
it's not great. So I think live feedback's better. So like if you really are
Mhm.
struggling with angles, honestly, go pay to work with a goalie coach for like a session and just work on angles. And that would do
Mhm.
way more from you and you should get most of it cleaned up from there.
I agree. Yeah, I was trying to provide solutions for people that don't have access to a goalie coach sometimes. And until Sense Arena pays me, I'm going to say that you should just film your own self working on
Yeah,
stuff that
Sets
way.
Arena really needs to sponsor our pod so we can try it. Although the video I sent you originally where we were not impressed, someone sent me more video and I went on their website where they do somehow record like actual live players coming in. So it's a little better. I do think, like you said, in 10 years, it's going to be really good.
Oh, it's going to be so cool in 10 years.
But right now, I just don't know. But again, is it better than doing nothing? Probably.
Yeah, probably. I'll give that. I'll
Probably.
give that. I'll give that a probably.
And
There
it's
is
also
something.
if you enjoy it,
Yeah, that's fine too.
then yeah, like I would if you're playing, it's like okay, it's like okay, you're gonna play Fortnite or you're gonna make some saves and you enjoy making the saves. I'd probably rather do that. You don't have
Mhm.
to go, is it really making me that much of a better goalie? If it's just on par with other video games, at least it's
Yeah, that's cool.
something it's cool.
What is really cool, and I'm not sure we'll ever see this because hockey's so different than this, but there's like these systems now in baseball and cricket where it's like a pitching machine, but the front is an entire LED screen and it mimics the delivery of a pitcher.
That's pretty
And
cool.
so as the hand comes through, the ball actually does leave the device at the exact angle, height, and location that that pitcher would throw from.
Engineers are so smart.
Yeah, so MLB teams are using it now. But they're like $1 million, those machines.
Oh, all right. So I have two. Maybe.
Yeah, but I think
They're
that's
a
cool.
million
So
dollars.
yeah, but I mean, we talk about this all the time when it comes to like the reading the release. We talked about that the other week. Uh, that would be
Dang.
something like if Hockey Tech ever somehow ever could make that work, and you could somehow get that in your house, you'd be reading the release real well. But
Yeah.
until
Till
then,
then.
yeah. Good.
Any last quick grab bags?
Honestly, no. I think we kind of hit a lot of stuff there. I think if there's anything that people want us to expand on this way too, from anything from today, we're happy to as well, right? But I think the
Message me or Ben on Instagram. It's probably the best. You know what we can do? We should just make a Google form and have people fill it
yeah,
out.
yeah, that's
Uh,
something. Yeah, this is talking admin with Jamie and Ben now.
yeah.
But yeah, it's something we can definitely get set up so people can have kind of either again, whether it's DMing us or messaging us or commenting on posts. We're happy to kind of dive into stuff because I think there's always lots of little nuances to kind of go over. And I think sometimes one of the best things you can do is hear a different perspective. And so I say this all the time to the goalies that I work with, and I think Jamie, you would agree,
Said this the
that
other
you need
day.
to, yeah, you need to, you shouldn't like, it's great to have a goalie coach you work with, but you shouldn't ever be scared of working with another one. Or if you're a goalie coach, like you shouldn't be scared of your goalies going to see someone else either. Sometimes other perspectives are good. Sometimes you can see someone else and be like, oh, I do not like that at all. And that's important too, right? So the way that we see things are obviously not the golden way to see it. It's our perspective, and it's what
The
well
golden triangle way to see it.
that one is objectively correct, 100% right. Anyone else says otherwise is
It's
wrong.
wrong.
In fact, Jamie, how does the panda affect the golden triangle? And on next week's episode, we will.
Or yeah, everyone, you can't leave it. Panda, it just train the ability to go from overlapping to RVH smoothly, and it completely eliminates the need to do a panda.
Or just realize that a panda is a butterfly.
Panda's an overlap where you're just cheating and exposing your ribs to be broken. A goalie actually messaged me the other day and said he broke his ribs on that shot.
Ooh, that doesn't feel good.
So get well soon.
Yeah, that sucks. On that note, as always, you can find us, toss us a rating on your favorite podcasting app, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscription or a like or all that jazz. All those metrics, things that largely don't impact our livelihood in any capacity whatsoever, but we feel obligated to say them nonetheless. So, Jamie,
and
until next time.
If you have a business and want to sponsor the pod, that would impact our lives. And if you are Sensorina, please reach out. We need it.
Yeah, if you are Sensorina, my lab does visual gaze research. Hit us up. We got eye trackers that we can put on your eye tracker.
Is eye tracker inception?
Yeah, there's just too many. There's too many eye trackers here. None of the tech works anymore. But yeah,
thanks for listening, everyone. Yeah, we're rambling now, and I gotta go get some groceries. Subscribe, comment, anything. It helps. Share it with a friend, and for those listening and bore with us to the end. Thank you very much. Is it bore with us? Is it bore with us?
We got a lot of English to work with you.
Do you nip it in the bud? Thanks, everybody.